This video is going to be my entry into Honor Hammer and Double Cross Kings Fantasy Booking Challenge. I'm actually going to do rebooking the WWE in 2003. So first I'm going to do the Raw side of it. Now my objectives for doing this is to give Rob Van Dam the title reign that he deserves, and to also make the world title seem a lot more interesting and to produce better quality matches in the Raw title scene, because as we all know, I think Scott Steiner, Kevin Nash, and Goldberg dominated the Raw title scene. They got all the title shots, and none of those matches were any good. They were all horrible matches and really brought a lot of bad quality wrestling to the Raw world title scene. And I seriously believe that 2003 should have been the greatest year in WWE history, but because of bringing in those three buffoons, it really hurt a lot of things. Now, I will still bring in Goldberg and Nash and have them have certain matches, but I will use them sporadically and won't really overbook them that much, because I think they could add a little bit to the brand, but just not that much though. But we'll see what happens. Alright, so let's get right down to it. For the Royal Rumble, I would have Triple H face Booker T. Booker T would challenge Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. I just think this would have went a lot better than the WrestleMania match, and just be an excellent match. This would definitely be a lot better than Scott Steiner versus Triple H. In my opinion, that was the worst match I've ever seen. When you factor in that Angle and Benoit went right after it and totally blew it away. So definitely think Triple H and Booker T could have a nice program heading into the Rumble. So that would be cool. So Rob Van Dam would actually win the Royal Rumble to set up a WrestleMania match between him and Triple H. And Shawn Michaels and Jericho, you could have them in the Rumble, and the same exact thing could happen. Jericho would screw Michaels out of the Rumble match, and they could set up their WrestleMania program. Alright, so No Way Out. I wouldn't do anything spectacular. I just have Booker T and RVD team up to face Jericho and Triple H in a tag match. You could actually, at the time, Shawn Michaels wasn't really wrestling at all, so you could have Shawn come out and super kick Jericho behind the referee's back, and that could actually enable Rob Van Dam to hit the frog splash to get some momentum heading into WrestleMania. Alright, so WrestleMania 19. You still do Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho. Let them do their thing, just like what exactly happened. Booker T versus Christian. I know Christian was left off of WrestleMania 19, so let him have a match against Booker T. Bring back the IC title. Those guys had great matches in 2003. Why not just let them have a match at WrestleMania? Make those guys happy. Now, Rob Van Dam challenging Triple H for the world title. The build-up for this match, you can basically just do the same thing you did at Unforgiven. You know, have RVD cut a little bit more serious promos. Have him cut promos from the heart, talking about how Triple H has all the power, and that he's just jealous of him because he can't do the types of stuff that I can do in the ring, and that he's a protected champion. And then you can have Triple H shit on RVD, and because he doesn't like his style, because it's not the old school style that Triple H grew up watching. So yeah, that could basically primarily be the feud going into WrestleMania. And then boom, you just have Rob Van Dam defeat Triple H at WrestleMania. Let them have a great match. No interference. Just let them have a straight up one-on-one type of match. And RVD finally the WWE champion. Alright, so Backlash. I would have Rob Van Dam have his first title defense against Lance Storm. This doesn't have to be the main event. It could be a mid-card world title match. Because you got to make room for the SmackDown side as well. So let them do their thing. I think Lance Storm and RVD would be a fresh matchup. And okay, so you could do Jericho and Christian versus the Dudleys for the tag titles at Backlash, instead of RVD and Kane versus the Dudleys. You could get Triple H and Ric Flair teaming up to face Booker T and Goldust. And after this match, I think after this match is where they should have formed Evolution. I think Evolution will come out after this match, and then all four of these guys just beat the crap out of Booker T and Goldust and just make a statement. And then you can have Triple H get on the mic and say, now I have my stable. Now I'm focused on getting the World Heavyweight Championship back from Rob Van Dam. And as we all remember, Goldberg actually faced The Rock at Backlash. And instead of doing that, I would have had The Rock actually challenge Shawn Michaels to a match at Backlash. Yeah, you could have had The Rock and Austin have their match at WrestleMania. I had no problem with that. But at Backlash, since Shawn Michaels is involved in a great feud with Jericho at WrestleMania, you don't really want to change that. Have Shawn Michaels and The Rock have their match at Backlash. Even though I know both guys probably didn't want to work with each other, but in a fantasy world, that's how I would have done it. Considering that that would have been The Rock's last singles pay-per-view match. Alright, Judgment Day. I would just do this. I would have RVD, Shawn Michaels, Booker T, and Kane team up to face Evolution in an 8-man tag match. That's pretty much it. And I would actually have Chris Jericho win a #1 Contenders Gauntlet at Judgment Day to challenge Rob Van Dam for the world title at Bad Blood. So yeah, you have Rob Van Dam and Jericho, main event of pay-per-view, Bad Blood. I think it would have been an awesome match, awesome feud going into it. And at Bad Blood, you could do Shawn Michaels versus Randy Orton in a singles match. Have Booker T face Christian in his hometown for the IC title. And then you could do, and then Kevin Nash will actually come out. He comes back from his quad injury and is pissed off about the way Evolution is going. And he's pissed off that Triple H has been treating Shawn Michaels like shit over the last year. So he challenges Nash, or Triple H and Nash face each other in a grudge match at Bad Blood. Not for the title, just a mid-card grudge match. That's exactly where it belongs. Alright, so let's move on to SummerSlam. Chris Jericho faces Kevin Nash in a hair versus hair match and a career versus career match. Kevin Nash loses this match out of the WWE for good. Gets his head shaved. He goes on to film The Punisher. So Jericho wins that match. We do Randy Orton and Batista versus Booker T and Goldust. Nice solid tag match to establish Evolution as a tag team. Now, you can have Bill Goldberg actually switch brands and challenge Triple H to, on Raw. I would actually have Goldberg on SmackDown first, but I'll talk about the SmackDown side of it later. But have Goldberg just challenge Triple H because of the stuff that Triple H said about him on Tough Enough for not having any heart and no desire. And basically Goldberg would just come out of nowhere and challenge Triple H, not for the title, just a grudge match at SummerSlam. And at SummerSlam, I would actually have Rob Van Dam face Shawn Michaels in a ladder match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Have RVD go over here, no interference, just have RVD and Shawn Michaels just do their thing. No one will probably asking for too much for that match for happening, but alright, Unforgiven. Main event, Triple H versus Goldberg, Hell in a Cell, career versus career match. Just like they did Unforgiven, career versus career, but this time booking in Hell in a Cell. Once again, not for the title. But still, it's still worthy of a main event. I like the main event, Unforgiven. Alright, so for the title, right before the main event, go RVD versus Jericho versus Randy Orton versus HBK, 4-way match. I think that would be an excellent match if they ever booked that. So, especially in 2003, that would have been great. Batista versus Booker T, nice mid-card match to establish Batista as a singles wrestler. And then you could do Shane McMahon and Kane just like they did. That's fine. Survivor Series. We go Team Austin versus Team Bischoff, just like they did it. But instead, I go Orton, Batista, Christian, Jericho, and Lance Storm versus Shawn Michaels, Booker T, Goldust, and Team 3D. Basically, set up Shawn Michaels for this match. Make Shawn Michaels look like a legit contender for the world title, and have him basically put on the same kind of performance that he did. I thought that was an excellent match, but pretty much the same thing almost. All right, Survivor Series on the Raw side of things. Main event. Or actually not the main event. I think SmackDown should get the main event for there, but I'll talk about that later. So we get RVD versus Triple H, a street fight for the World Heavyweight title. I think this would be an amazing match. Let RVD wrestle his ECW style. Triple H could actually take the punishment. Here, actually, Evolution would come out and just beat the crap out of RVD. No one would actually help RVD. And RVD can't fight off the interference. Triple H regains the title heading into WrestleMania 20. At Survivor Series. Armageddon, I did Triple H versus Shawn Michaels for the world title. Make sure they book it in San Antonio, Texas, just like they did on Raw, and have Shawn Michaels do the same ending that they did on Raw, with Shawn Michaels pinning Triple H, but Bischoff comes out and reverses the decision because Shawn Michaels was actually pinned himself as well, if you remember that finish. Alright, so then we do RVD versus Randy Orton for the IC title, have Orton win the IC title on Raw, and just reverse it. Just have RVD challenge him, and you can have Orton go over. Jericho versus Christian, Jericho and Christian versus Trish and Lita. They could do the exact same thing. And you could do Booker T and Goldust versus Ric Flair and Batista. Alright, so that was Armageddon. We have Triple H and Shawn Michaels starting a program heading into WrestleMania 20, heading into 2004, pretty much the exact same way that they did. But I think overall, I think it's hard to argue that 2003 would have been a lot better if they just booked it like this. So, alright, that's it.